し訳ないのですけれど、何をどうしたらそんなことになるんですかね、ベイオル様。え？
なんだ、気づいておらんかったのか？求婚した手前、寂しくもあるが。わしが髭を剃っただけで乙女のように赤面するとは、不武なやつだの。
The Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King. This was episode number 2, and I'll be super real with you guys up front. Well, let me say this. Dom from the Otaku Room, appreciate you clicking on my video. We review seasonal anime here on the channel week after week, and I aim to review the episode, not the anime entirely, although some opinions from past episodes will creep into the episode that I'm reviewing. So if I say that this episode was dog water, it was a 3 out of 10, or I say it was a 10 out of 10, it doesn't mean the whole anime is. It doesn't mean the whole show is. It just means that that specific episode was amazing or terrible. With that being said, The Warrior Princess Barbaric King episode number 2, this episode was okay. It gets a passing grade. I think passing grade would be like a 6 out of 10. I think it was okay, nothing special. Some of the things I did like about the episode is I did like that it picked up with last week's funny. Last week's funny was, you know, bam, entering the schlong monster with our main character waking up next to, again, the Barbaric King. I did like that quite a bit. I think it was good to kind of reiterate like, hey, here's what happened. Because it was a really funny moment last week. So between Serafina and Veyor, you know, Veyor is just kind of laying it all out there. And I actually really like the relationship that he has with his attendant. His attendant's name is Ursel, I think. Correct me in the comments, but I think her name's Ursel. But she has a very personal relationship with Veyor, you know, as her king, as her leader of the tribe, and they do things very differently, which they don't hold back. So I do like that they picked up with where they left off last week. I also really like how she instantly fell in love with Veyor later on in the episode when they were doing like the bath scene and stuff. And she fell in love with him unknowingly because he was so manly and he was shaven. And because of that, she was like, oh my God, like she was about to get all loosey-goosey right then and there. But it just ended up being him again, and she kind of got a little pissy about that. But I thought that whole entire scene was funny. I like when she was in the bath with Kersey, that they had like a monster coming in and attacking them in the bath, and that was a funny little jump scare moment for her. Like, and she was like, "Yeah, we do things differently out here in the woods or whatever," you know. So I did like those couple of different moments, and there was another moment too that I liked as well. Where basically, you know, Serafina was just overreacting. Oh, it was with the meat. So she ends up eating dragon meat and her stomach kind of rumbles. I was like, that's a pretty funny scene. And he was like, oh, well, if you want to see like the magic happen, look out the window. And she sees a full ass dragon there. And she's like, oh my God, we're eating dragon? I thought it was supposed to be yada, yada, yada and poisonous. And she was like, yo, but it's good though. She's like, she kept eating. And he was like, hunger strikes, huh? So I thought that was a pretty fun moment as well too. Outside of those fun moments, the rest of it just kind of happened. The rest of the episode just kind of happened, right? She gets introduced to the wilderness and the forest, and he introduces her to a really cool waterfall where they wash themselves, and there was some banter between her and Kersey, the attendant, about, you know, hey, you don't want to stink. You kind of have to go wash up and stuff. And that totally happened in the episode. Then he just kind of set the stage for, you know, being his woman, etc., etc. And then came to the part where I didn't like, which is him shaving, which don't get me wrong, shaving totally fine. But how do you say it? At the beginning of the episode, or like what we see him in so far, he's like, he talks down here and he's a man of men and you are my woman. And then he suddenly talks like I talk, you know? So I was like, what does shaving have to do with his voice and the way that he sounds and projects his voice? Like it was very stupid to me. And I was like, if I go shave right now, my voice doesn't get deeper and it doesn't get more high pitched than it already is. So I was like, it doesn't make no sense for him to shave and his voice completely changes. I was like, I guess they're trying to convey that he's a different man when he shaves, I guess. But I don't really understand why they needed to. It didn't hit for me right. I thought it was silly. And not like silly, like, oh my god, it's so silly. Like silly, like that's freaking dumb. Like it's just dumb. It's one of those things too where I feel like, oh well, only I'm harping on it too much, only like I'm nitpicking too much. And I get it, maybe it is me. But you know, at the end of the day, I'm watching the anime, I'm sharing my opinion, and you may or may not agree with it. That's kind of what happens, right? And for my enjoyment, I just thought it was really dumb. And I just didn't like it. And 2 days later, he grows his beard back, and then he looks super unkempt again. So I was like, okay, well, there's a middle ground. You know, having a beard doesn't mean being a grizzly bear, you know, and not having it doesn't mean that you're suddenly this dashing gentleman. I'm like, I kind of took offense to it as a bearded man. But I just thought it was just a dumb plot line. So I was like, okay, well, that's dumb, but I'll get over it. And then everything else, you know, it just seems like it's going to be a little slapsticky to where she just continuously, like, you know, pushes up against, like, no, I refuse the barbarians. And then there's a moment where they're like, oh, barbarians are okay. And there's like, I feel like it's going to kind of have like a sticky thing to where this kind of her playing coy and then giving in is just going to keep happening in different moments over and over. I hope not, but that's kind of the feeling I got. So, although I really liked episode number 1, I thought episode number 1 was really good. Episode number 2 just really brought me down. So it's like episode 1 was like, I think I rated like an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really good, really funny ending. This episode, like a 6 out of 10. It was okay. Like totally, again, passable grade. Totally watchable. Decent, you know? But then that's kind of where it stops. Like, I don't know. 6 out of 10 is where I land for this one. I think it was okay. It didn't hit for me. Now, again, doesn't mean that the anime is trash or anything. Maybe next episode will bring me back, and that's what I'm crossing fingers for. So let's all watch next week, and then I'll make a determination if we continue to watch the show or not. And let me know in the comments how you're feeling about the show. Maybe you found some different scenes funny. Maybe you like the dragon stuff. Maybe you like the bathing stuff. Maybe you like the manly man stuff. Which I typically do enjoy, but like the way it did this episode, kind of like her falling for him, I wish could have been done a little bit differently. I don't know, but it just wasn't hitting for me. So maybe next week will though. So I'll hold my breath for my final verdict for next week. All right, my friends, I'll see you guys then for next week, and you guys have a good rest of your week or whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you then. Peace.